we turn our attention to another guest of honor here tonight with the EAPD members, and that is David Ambroz, author of a fantastic new memoir called A Place Called Home, which is available through the links shared with the EAPD members in the promotional and bulletins for this meeting. And in fact, this book is getting so much love in my household that you're going to hear my cats in the background squawking about what a great read this is, and how warm this made them through these last 2 months of rain and inclement weather. David is a bona fide leader and a nonstop presence here in our civic scene in Los Angeles. 6-year chair, I believe, of our city planning commission up until 2020 when he departed that role, and continues to work here with Amazon as community relations head for the Western region, building on his tenure at Disney and at least another studio, which I think David will be ready to talk about here. But his book has been blurbed not just by former President Obama, but by former candidate and presidential standard bearer for our Democratic Party, Hillary Clinton. Some really auspicious praise for a really compelling book about how he navigated and survived the foster care system, both the foster and the parts of it that fell short of care, and found a way to both emancipation as a youth and freedom as a gay man in his late teens and early 20s. David, it's a real joy to have you here tonight. Take it away, David.
Thank you. I'm going to have you do my Tinder profile. It's in sad and sorry state, hence my singleness. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be part of this. That was quite the lineup to follow. Real briefly, and I'd rather talk more, my family grew up homeless for 12 years in New York City and in different places in the East Coast. We were the folks that people averted their eyes or cleaned up, as I heard most recently from one of our mayoral candidates. The book opens actually the night that we were forced out from Grand Central, where we had been sleeping and living, because they did a cleanup. And my family almost died from exposure that night. I was about 4. It takes you through the 12 years I spent homeless and then on into foster care. Hans mentioned, I went to foster care at a time when they would diagnose you as queer, and then they separated you into different systems based on that. So I went into a penal system and went through some rather rigorous attempts to make me less gay. Didn't work. A number of very abusive foster homes before I emancipated. How unfortunate a word to use for what we do to children, but it is perhaps too apt. So I emancipated, it became homeless again, but went on to commit fraud on a grant, moved to Spain. With that grant, I studied La Bioquímica. My Mexican foster brother did the phone interview. And I then went on to college at Vassar College and UCLA School of Law. The book stops as I graduate Vassar. And it's really a love letter to policymakers and organizations like this about how we can look at these systems of poverty that ground my family down, how I escaped, and how we can do better by kids, in particular foster kids. Hans mentioned I've been very active in Los Angeles for my entire 22 years living here, especially around issues of homelessness. I got involved through East Hollywood Neighborhood Council, Central Hollywood Neighborhood Council. I served on a number of them. I served as the bid chair in East Hollywood, Virgil Village Steering Committee co-founder, and I'd go on. I was on the board of a hospital. I did all that because I really believe in the passion of what you guys do. I share it, which is when good people do something, good things happen. And I shared this book and a lot of the stories here really because of my experience, but also most recently, the go around I had on 8 years in the Planning Commission, in time where I got to have more than an opinion, but a vote. And it was a fascinating time where I got to lead an organization to, pass some of the ideas that I think made a difference and are making a difference. So I'll stop there. The afterword of the book is a policy prescription to stop the intergenerational transfer of poverty and violence. And one idea in there, for example, is, around a third of the homeless are folks that have experienced foster care, 16 to 24-year-olds across the state. And we emancipate them from foster care with no skills, no education really. And then we're shocked when they perpetuate the cycles of poverty and violence. You're more likely to die coming out of foster care than you are to go to college. You're more likely to go to jail coming out of foster care in California. than you are to go to college. You're more likely to be pregnant and have a child within a year of leaving foster care than you are to go to college. You're more likely to become homeless by double digits than you are to go to college. I'm not okay with that. So one idea here in LA I'm working on, for instance, glad to talk about anything, is to build the dorm at LA City College. We own the land. It's CEQA exempt. We could stabilize enrollment at community colleges. We could address the vocational crisis shortage. We have enough lawyers. I like us. We don't have enough folks with skill sets that the community colleges also offer. And we could really all of a sudden transform how we treat these children and families.